Welcome to Iranian American Institute. My name is Sohrab Chamanara, and I'm a member of this Iranian American Research Institute. We're not a big institute, but we are some Iranian American who've been for a long time friend, and we have been watching all these activities regarding the opposition with the Iranian regime for the last 30 years. And we have come to a conclusion ourselves that what could be the solution of resolving this Iranian problem, as you may call it. To introduce myself very briefly, I'm engineer and I have been graduated for 50 years from University of London, and I have worked in Iran 10 years before revolution and 9 years after the Iranian Revolution of 1979. I came to United States in 1989, and I had my green card before that, and then I became a citizen just a few years after that. I worked at UOP for 6 years, and then I had my own company, which I was most involved in the refinery business, and now I'm in the environmental projects. Well, the situation in Iran, practically for majority of this 5 million Iranian diaspora who are living outside Iran, they are all get involved in politics because we all love our country where we were born, and we want to see something happen to solve this problem. And now, right now, there are 80 million Iranians who have relatively, I should say, a miserable life in Iran, and except few percent that who are working with the regime and they have a comfortable life. And of course, when I say comfortable life, they spend perhaps 6 months of their life in Iran and then another 6 months in Europe, America, Canada, or Southeast Asia. And they have a very, very happy life, actually, and they are very fortunate because they are part of the regime. Uh, I, when I came to America, I became a member of the Mid-America Committee, and in 1998, as a director of the Middle East and Central Asia of this committee, together with Mr. Thomas H. Miner, which is a well-known person in Chicago, we took 20 American with the approval of State Department, and of course I don't know whether President Clinton knew about that or not, but I'm sure he did. But Madam Albright, the Secretary of State, I met her personally when she came to Mid-America Committee in Chicago, one of our meetings, and I know that she approved of this mission that we took 20 American to Iran. If that trip was successful, it was something like a ping pong before Kissinger trip to China. But anyway, didn't happen because at the last day that we were in Iran at night, I should say, three people attacked our boss when we were returning from Isfahan, and that really ruined everything. It was pre-staged and planned by the government, of course, and all project was forgotten altogether. During last I should say 17 years after 9/11, United States has been talking, the government has been talking and inviting different scholars, Iranian scholars, to Congress. They have talked about Iran and the relation, and it has all kind of uh, different proposal by different people, different opposition groups, and activists, political activists, how to manage Iran. Some people believe that Iran should be bombed. Some people agree with the negotiation. All these time that I'm talking about for the last 17 years, while all the relation with Iran was going up and down, and the nuclear negotiation was really took 5 or 6 years. We in the American Iranian American Institute together, we are not a big organization. Our members are 15 or 16 people in the United States and perhaps few in Europe and a few in Iran. They're either in prison or they are really a silent people. Anyway, um, what we did, just we registered our organization as an Iranian American Research Institute in Washington. And we have a website, and the address is very simple: www.iranianamerican.info. And what we want to do is not to change the policy of the American government or system. We are just asking our senators, representatives, to consider our proposition. Our proposition is very simple. Two things. And actually, if you visit our website, www.iranianamerican.info, at first page, you will see a typical letter, which in that letter, we have asked our senators, our congressmen or congresswoman, to consider these two options that might resolve the situation very peacefully. And those are very simple. To read Iranian Constitution. It's a very simple request from our senator. Of course, I have sent the same letter to my Illinois senator, and my senator has promised me that whenever this debate comes to the floor of the Senate, he will consider my proposition. As I said, it has two items in it. Item one is to read Iranian Constitution. For that matter, we have put Iranian Constitution, the English version of the Iranian Constitution, and highlighted in red those items that you should read and find out what is in our Constitution. You don't have to read the whole Constitution, which is a very lengthy one. It has 9-page introduction. Don't have to read that. Just read one sentence. And all the items we have highlighted. Of course, if you like, you can read the whole Constitution. But if you don't have time, you might spend only 10 minutes to read the Constitution. And when you object the Iranian regime, why you are in Syria and why you are in Yemen, why do you interfere in the affair of Afghanistan, then if you read the Constitution, you will find out why. The second request that we have is about sanctions. All the sanctions for the last 39 years not only hurt the Iranian regime, the Islamic State, but I should say it has helped them. It's a very dangerous claim, I know that, but just listen to me. You put sanction, I mean, when I say you, I mean you, the American government. You put sanction in Iran, whereas these 20 Americans who went to Iran, they witnessed that whatever they needed, any American product, it is there. The big sign of Caterpillar is in Shiraz Avenue near Vanak Square. And you say, how come? I mean, what do they do here? Caterpillar, one of the biggest manufacturers of the earth-moving machinery, has a big office in Iran. What happens really in this sanction? Caterpillar is not allowed to export. The Illinois company, one of the biggest world companies, is not allowed to export to Iran. What will happen? They will export some of their equipment to Indonesia. And from Indonesia, it goes to Malaysia. And from Malaysia, it goes to a private port in Iran, which is run by Sepah, the one that you have put sanction on them. And then it is sold in Iran. And equipment, which is worth $1 million, is sold in Iran for $5 million, $4 million, whatever I know, they sell it with 100%, 200% over invoice. Where does that money go? It's not only Caterpillar. Whatever you need in Iran, American product, you can get it. But with the price of 100%, 200% over the invoice price. All these over invoice goes to the bank account of the elite of Iran. Who are these elites of Iran? These are the people that you supposedly have put sanction on them. And these people have account in American banks, Canadian banks, European banks, all over the world. Not even offshore. No, in just the British banks. So, by this sanction that United States has imposed on Iran for the last 39 years, you have made hundreds of billionaires with a saving account of billions of dollars all over the world from this Iranian elite. And of course, I don't know whether they are a sleeping cell for Iran for future or not, but anyway, these are where the over invoice of the sanction that you have put on the Iranian people, their over invoice goes to the pocket and the banking account of these people. You will not find any major Ayatollah or any major elite of Iranian regime who doesn't have property or a bank account or a resort housing in Europe, United States, Canada, and all over the world. All these Ayatollahs' children, their relatives, all of them are living. They may not be citizens, but at least they have green card and a permanent residence in Canada and Europe. So, what should we do? Of course, this is our proposition. Change the sanction from this kind of sanction that you have imposed already to smart sanction. The smart sanction means do not of course, say for instance Ayatollah Rafsanjani or Ayatollah Khatami or Ayatollah Mesbah should be sanctioned. But you forget their children, their relatives, and their associates. And it's a very simple job for CIA and FBI to identify these people very simply and then put sanction on them, not the people of Iran. This is what we call smart sanction. I give you another example. Just I don't know whether it was 6 months ago or last year, the managing director of the Central Bank of Iran, Mr. Khavari, took $3 billion, I don't know what you call it, embezzlement or stealing or what, took it to Canada. Everybody knows that. Even the government has claimed that they know that. And now, of course, Mr. Prime Minister Trudeau is a very fine gentleman and a very decent person. Has he ever asked, where is this $3 billion gone to Canada? If I want to give you an example, perhaps I have to sit here and give you a list of hundreds of these people whom I know. But I am sure CIA and FBI and everybody knows all these people. For instance, the government itself, the government of this present president, Mr. President Rouhani, comes and said, during Ahmadinejad presidency, $700 billion, they don't know where it has gone. It's not a question of $100 or $1 million. They're talking about $700 million, nearly $1 trillion of the Iranian asset during the Ahmadinejad presidency has gone out. Where this money has gone? Of course, it has gone to, of course, we know that this banking system in the world, they are like a network, you know, all the banks are related together. Citibank, Chase, Barclays, Deutsche Bank, all of these banks they're all the same, and the beginning of the net is in New York Stock Exchange, and all of these money comes there. Therefore, I don't want to say, of course, we are not telling you what to do, because it is your decision, Mr. Senator, Mr. or Mrs. Congressman or woman. This is the situation. And if you want to change anything in Iran, you just do these two things. Read the Constitution of Iran in English, which we have put in this website, and also consider a smart sanction. For that matter, I have, of course, with the help of the institution, we have put together a book called 2020, The Fall of Islamic States. In this book, of course, all the chapters are starting the history of Iran and how Iran, Armenia, and Israel historically were the oldest nations in the Middle East. There were no other nation except these three. I mean, Armenia and Iran and Israel. I mean, all these countries that you see, they have been created perhaps in the last 100 years, 150 years. I mean, they were not in existence. They were all either colony of the Ottoman Empire or the British Empire, and then they came to existence in the last 200 years, and some of them since 1970. But these three countries were the oldest nation. Of course, the book gives you a brief history. What's the Shia, what's the Sunni, and what is Wahhabi of Saudi Arabia. And the fight in the Middle East is between Shia and Wahhabi, and Sunni got nothing to do with this. Of course, 90% of the Muslim in the world are Sunni, and maybe 9% are Shia, which are in Iran, north of Afghanistan, and Azerbaijan, and Iraq. Um, some of them are in Syria and Yemen, and this is 9% of the whole Muslim population, and 90% of them are Sunni, like Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Pakistan. They are all Sunni, and then 1%, very small amount, are in Saudi Arabia, who are Wahhabi. And the fight in the Middle East is between Shia and Wahhabi. Sunni got nothing to do with it. And in our opinion, when you say Shia Sunni, it just, as far as we know, that we know what's going on in the Middle East. It's laughable. It's when you say Shia and Sunni, because Iran itself in the area is half Sunni and half Shia, but of course majority are Shia, but Sunni, and Iraq is, northern part of Iraq are all Sunni, and the southern part are Shia. Therefore, it's not the fight between, or the dispute between Sunni and Shia. Of course, historically it has been, but present dispute is between Shia of Iran and Wahhabi of Saudi Arabia. Of course, this book goes through all the history from the beginning, and for you to read is chapter 5 and 6, the last two chapters, because the last two chapters will bring you to the year 2018 and 19 and 20. And this is what we believe, that in 2018, all these slogans in Iran should change to constitution. Item 1 for you to read in that letter. In 2019, in this book, we predicted that the Iranian opposition, either left or right, will come to a conclusion that they have to get united together, and they will write a constitution outside Iran. Of course, there are samples of constitutions that we have put in our other website for the Iranian to read for all these opposition, because whether you are pro-kingdom or republic or left or right, or you have any idea that which is different from other Iranian, you have to get united together by writing a constitution. And we would like you to read this constitution and compare them. That's what we say to our Iranian diaspora, that they have to get united by having one constitution among themselves. And this constitution should be the slogan of the people protest in Iran. And when they protest that they want a change of constitution, and if the America makes that a must rather than changing the regime, they have to request a change of constitution. And how we can persuade the American to have this request from the Iranian regime and put the sanction over them, a smart sanction, if they do not change the constitution, because it's not only bad for the Iranian people, but also if you read the constitution, you will find out what a miserable constitution it is, as far as both Iranian and American concern. We will continue our conversation in the more videos, but this is only an introduction of our problems, and I hope I really sincerely hope that the American politicians, people in Senate and people in Congress and administration, the White House, uh, to read this book, which is online actually. You can read it online. And if you don't have time to read all the history of the Middle East and what happened to these countries, just read the last two chapters, which is only 20, 30 pages. And after that, we are ready to talk more about this future of Iran and the relation between Iranian American and the Iranian diaspora and what we really hope happen to Iran. Thank you very much.